Now, Africans are among the most rapidly growing immigrant populations in the United States. And an African American from Cameroon publishes a magazine just for immigrants called A Voice of Immigrants in America, as we hear from VOA's Paul Ndiho.
You can change that Donald Trump. You sit at the table and hear our stories. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? He can hear our stories. Talk to us.
Pamela Anchanga came to the United States from Cameroon nearly 20 years ago with the dream to earn a living and do better for herself. Today, she's become an icon in LA, California, as a publisher of the Immigrant magazine, immigration activist, and an outspoken critic of U.S. President Donald Trump's signature campaign promise to crack down on illegal immigration.
And now we have a leadership, we have an administration that seems to forget that and wants to penalize immigrants. Now, I'm not advocating illegal immigration. However, I think that we should have a comprehensive immigration reform that will legalize everybody.
Ms. Anchanga is the editor of the Immigrant magazine, a 1,000 California-based news and features website that prides itself as the voice of the immigrants in America.
Immigrant magazine was born. I decided that it would be a platform that would be a voice for all immigrants.
She has become the voice of the voiceless and made friends across the diverse spectrum of immigrant communities in the Los Angeles area.
I am an immigrant from southern Cameroon, somewhere in central West Africa. And I'm standing here with my brothers and sisters who are all immigrants to say we are not criminals.
I am an American. I'm a naturalized citizen. But I cannot sit and be quiet when I know that the difference between someone who's undocumented and someone who's illegal is just a matter of that paper. But you know what? The intention and the reason why we're all here remains the same.
By becoming more involved in the anti-immigration campaign, naturalized citizens like Pamela play a greater role in determining the fate of issues that impact other immigrants.
At the time when I started, the conversation about immigration was not strong, the voice wasn't strong as it is today. Now more than ever, we see the value of that immigrant story, that immigrant experience, that advocacy. Immigrants are feeling that this is a land of opportunity. Okay, and now we have a president who seems to forget that this country's foundation was immigrants. Okay.
Pamela Anchang and her husband Charles Anchang started the Immigrant Magazine project as a printer magazine in 2004 because they saw a gap in how the dominant media outlets portrayed immigrants in the United States. Over the years, the magazine has adopted a more political tone as Anchanga uses it as a platform to call for an overhaul of the country's immigration laws and a path to citizenship for the millions of immigrants here without permission.
So we will be out there, and we have been out there. I am out there, and my vision and my duty is to speak up on their behalf.
Her success as a publisher and celebrity immigration activist has not come easy. But despite the challenges, she's even more determined to keep pushing the envelope, especially in light of President Trump's administration travel ban targeting immigrants, refugees, and several majority Muslim countries. Paul Ndiho, VOA News, Washington.
Now to Somalia, where a devastating outbreak of cholera and acute diarrhea is ravaging the nation, the consequence of extreme drought. More than half of the country's 12 million citizens could be in need of food aid in the coming months. But the United Nations is working to avoid famine. Here's a report.
In famine-threatened Somalia, more than 25,000 people are being struck by cholera or acute watery diarrhea. The United Nations warns that the epidemic could double by this summer. The United Nations is already racing to avoid a repeat of famine in the drought-hit nation where more than 250,000 people died of starvation in 2011. The United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, and its partners are providing an integrated package of nutrition, water, sanitation, and emergency health services, with a target of reaching 1.5 million people with access to clean water and over 700,000 Somalis with emergency healthcare services.
We haven't declared a famine yet, but we're very close. Very serious malnutrition, probably more than 200,000 children are going to suffer of severe malnutrition in the country, and now we have cholera on top of this, so we really need to pull all our capacities and resources together to stop this.
Cholera, which is endemic in Somalia, is an acute diarrhea disease that can kill within hours if left untreated. Malnourished children under 5 years are especially vulnerable. Already, 25,424 infected people have been identified since the start of the year, and the UN projects an increase to 50,000 by summer. Cholera can be successfully treated with oral rehydration solution. Severe cases will need rapid treatment with intravenous fluids and antibiotics, according to the World Health Organization. According to the UN, death rates among Somalis infected with cholera now has reached 14.1% in Middle Juba and 5.1% in Bakul. 13 of Somalia's 18 regions are affected by cholera, according to the UN. One of the worst hit is Baidoa, situated in south-central Somalia. Families from rural areas are moving to cities to search for food as animals die and water sources evaporate, forcing many to drink water infected with deadly cholera bacteria. Some 500,000 Somalis have been internally displaced, many in search of water, as well as some 3 million pastoralists who've lost 70% of their livestock due to drought.
We lost all our livestock because of the drought, which was caused by no rain. Most of our livestock were goats, and without rain, the goats cannot survive because they cannot graze and there is no water for drinking. We traveled with others who also suffered from this drought, and we came to the IDP camp, after which we got sick, and then we were referred to this hospital.
The current drought is threatening to turn into famine, with millions depending on aid for their livelihood. The United Nations is asking for $825 million to provide aid to 6.2 million Somalis, about half the country's population.
The World Health Organization has chosen Ghana, Kenya and Malawi as the countries where the world's first malaria vaccine will be tested next year on young children. The injectable vaccine known as Mosquirix was developed by the British pharmaceutical company GlaxoSmithKline. The test will be conducted on babies and toddlers aged 5 to 17 months. WHO says the pilot program will assess the feasibility of the vaccine's potential in reducing childhood deaths and its safety for routine use.
It's time now for a short break, but before we go, a reminder to visit our website. It's channelstv.com for news and updates. You can also find us on youtube.com/channelsweb. Still to come, Tunisia depends on oil, agriculture and tourism. Now, a car maker is aiming to make the country's automotive industry an international player. That's the story that comes up after the break.